Oh, we were drinking beers.
We
We were drinking beers.
Yeah, we were at
Victory Garden.
and at Jimmy's house
Yeah.
too. We were at a party or at a bar, and we were like, one of us said to the other, like, it's just ridiculous that this town doesn't have a dog park. And then we got to talking,
And that you can't have dogs in any of the parks.
right.
It's even more.
It's not really not a dog-friendly town.
Yeah.
We had talked to enough people to learn that the Friends of the Easton Dog Park, which was, I guess, the initial effort, which had been years ago, had gotten to a certain point and then I guess started the fundraise, and then it sort of fell apart, and that money was either returned or still sitting somewhere or whatever. But all we knew was it had failed and dropped off the map, and there was no plans for another group to start an effort. And we were like, this can't be that hard. This can't be that difficult.
And I think the more we got into it, when we started getting things like their budget, their plan, it was just became apparent they were woefully unprepared for what they had to do.
We presented them ultimately because we didn't want to be the ones that were jamming a certain location down their throats. So when we got to the portion of the process where we were in front of the board of the Parks and Rec of Easton, and we said, we suggest one of these three locations. And they unanimously chose the Brewers Lane location. He was for that, and I was more for RTC. But
mine was that our walkability score in our town is deplorable for what our town is, our infrastructure. And that score is developed by the federal government as to what type of amenities you can get to, how close they are in proximity to other amenities. My mindset of that location, along with, I guess, the one next to the firehouse, but this one's even more central, is one, you have an unactivated parcel of land that's essentially a gravel lot, and it's used ostensibly 1 to 2 weekends a year. It is in a location where it will spur commerce. You know, your people will come and go to Piazza and get a sandwich and bring their dog there. Or they can, go to Harrison's and, buy a 6-pack and have a yappy hour, or they can go take their dog and then go to the farmer's market on the weekends. It seemed to me like kind of a no-brainer. This is going to be roughly the same size as one in Patterson Park in Baltimore City that I helped the initiative with when I lived there. And that serviced several 100,000 people. And we have a town of 15,000, or I think 17 with the new census. And we have a park that's going to be almost the same size as a major metropolitan East Coast city. That was a real tough sell for us with the town. Everyone's in this mindset that
it has to be huge. And part of the reason for having a dog park is socialization. So if you get too big and you don't have that many people to fill that space or dogs to fill that space, it's there's no one really socializing. If you get a more intimate spot, the research shows that people congregate, and there's the dog owners are talking more, and people are getting to know each other, and the dogs are playing, and the dogs are fun. They don't need 3 acres.
Yeah.
The main thing that was brought up was what's going to happen with the poop. Like no one had ever been to a dog park anywhere in their lives.
It was more than that.
And we're like, people just sort of pick up after their own pet, and people police it themselves. And if someone's being a jerk and not cleaning up after their dog, that person will be.
They'll get a cold shoulder.
Yeah. But to make a long story short, we went to the town council, then to Parks and Rec, then to the Planning Commission, then back maybe to Parks and Rec, and then back to the town council for a final vote.
Yeah.
And after all of that accomplished designating that parcel of land off Brewers Alley as a park.
I mean, it took us almost a year to get through all those steps of that hearing.
Like a year and a half.
And we had to convince 15 individual minds to get on board.
So that's what we got done during COVID. But since then, nothing had happened because they were like, okay, now go fundraise for it. Yeah. I started a new job. He's busy. And we're like, I
was starting to get pushback from other projects I was doing that maybe this was not a favorable thing. So I kind of put it on the back burner. Yeah.
We had a meeting recently where right before they had voted to include it in this money they need to spend by October, they did say things like, we're going to try to stay close to this rendering and this vision, and they're going to keep us in the loop throughout the process, which I hope they will, as well as the architect and Rao. It was a learning process.
It was
sure.
definitely a learning process, and
I don't know if I feel any. It felt good at the time accomplishing these little steps, like going to this meeting and getting approval. Okay, now go this one. Now go to this one. And then at the end of the day, though, I was like, we have to go back again to this group that we already got. It just seemed redundant, but that's probably how
that happens.
Town government works.
Yeah, that's
I just didn't know.
A lot of governments work that way.
Yeah.